Well, I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy.
The second thing that was discussed this morning, will the public, will the media be able to see video of these freak-offs?
She did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest.
So we're taking a little bit of a break. Cassie just testified for about an hour and a half. She walked in with a brown fitted dress on. She was clearly visibly pregnant. She began by talking about how frequently she was abused when asked by prosecutors. She said things like too frequently, and said that she had knots on her head before, busted lip, swollen lip, bruises, that these things were normal for her. When asked about what is a freak off, she talked about it being an experience where Combs watched Ventura have sex with other men, and she said that she learned about this concept within the first year of their relationship. Why she went along with it. When asked that question, she said, "I was 22. I felt a sense of responsibility. I was confused, nervous, wanted to make him happy." So this is only the first hour and a half of her testimony. We're taking a lunch break, but when we come back, I'm sure we'll get more into the details of their relationship. Remember, though, this is a case about a criminal enterprise racketeering. So they're laying the foundation as to the relationship between Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura, Cassandra Ventura, but it's moving kind of slow right now, but we'll be providing another update when we get more information.
The Sean Diddy Combs federal trial just flipped the courtroom on its head. What started as a tense day of testimony quickly spiraled into a roller coaster of shocking claims, deeply disturbing imagery, and emotional breakdowns that left the jury and the public in stunned silence. Before Cassie even opened her mouth on the witness stand, the courtroom drama had already begun. Diddy's legal team tried to remove her husband, Alex Fine, arguing he might be called as a witness later in the trial. The moment was tense. Cassie stood just feet away from her former partner, now 8.5 months pregnant, flanked by her current husband, who stared Diddy down from across the courtroom. The judge struck a compromise. Fine could stay, but would have to leave if specific allegations from 2018 came up. That moment set the tone. This trial wasn't going to hold anything back.
And then the witnesses began. There was first the LAPD officer who went to the 6th floor among the famous kicking incident. And it turns out that he filmed his own version of the security camera footage and preserved it he was going to just show his wife, but he preserved it for eternity. Now, the cross-examination of him was done by Brian Steele, who tried to point out various inconsistencies of things that he hadn't put in his written report at the time, but only remembered later while speaking to the prosecutors. It wasn't a bad cross at all. Coming off his young thug work, score one for Brian Steele. Now, the next witness was I'm called him male dancer, but his last name was Phillip, not with an S. And this is where it got pretty gruesome. Not gruesome. I mean, yes, gruesome. He was invited up and began to perform. But he stopped being able to perform once he saw the violence, he said. He was a kind of a compelling character in a way. Now, the defense chose to have Xavier Donaldson, who I like and know quite well. I mean, I cover him more than these other lawyers because he's on the CJA panel and represents many criminal defendants here in SDNY as appointed counsel. He's taken a kind of his first line of attack was to try to say that the male escort or exotic dancing firm of Mr. Phillip games SEO, so he must be a fraudster. That's not really going far. He didn't finish his cross, and it's going to begin today. And we're coming up on the courthouse. You're going to see the madness in front. So we'll see what he does. And today is going to be the day of Cassie Ventura. So this is a longer than normal intro, but it's a case that we're covering in
Cassie
great
began
detail.
her testimony by revealing how Diddy allegedly forced her into elaborate, degrading scenarios during private events she called freak-offs. One involved being instructed to enter a pool filled with baby oil and lubricant, fully clothed, at a luxury hotel. She said she didn't want to do it, but felt she had no choice. The sessions allegedly lasted for days and left hotel rooms in chaos. Cassie claimed the physical and psychological toll was immense. The details painted a portrait of total control.
I asked you about this upcoming Diddy trial that's coming up in a few days. I think it's coming up in about 4 or 5 days. How you feel about Cassie testifying against Diddy?
Yes, sir. First of all, it should be absolutely illegal for Cassie to testify against Diddy. When he paid her off, I believe there was an NDA involved in that situation. He was paying her off to shut up and go away. After all the money he paid her, after her signing an NDA, how can she then be brought back into court to testify against them? It reminds me of Bill Cosby. Some of those women who lied on Bill Cosby during his abuse cases had NDAs. And the court let them break the NDA. You never see this with a white man accused of the same. You never see this with a Caucasian accused of the same. His lawyers should do all that they can to fight against Cassie testifying. She wasn't sex trafficking. So why are you testifying in a sex trafficking case? He is not being charged with crimes against Cassie. He's being charged with crimes against others. Cassie was paid and dismissed. Why is she being brought back into court after taking that man's money and testifying against him? That right there is clearly an excessive and abusive use of the law. Absolutely wrong. I do not like it. As far as Puffy asking for his case to be delayed, I agree with that. Remember, one of his lawyers recused himself, okay, at least one of them. So he probably has, some new people on his legal team. They got to get reacclimated and get caught up with what's going on. And I saw nothing wrong with him asking for a 2-month delay. He's already in jail. Y'all didn't give him bail, which y'all also think is a violation of his constitutional rights. So he should have got the 8-week delay. But here we go again. Deion Sanders. We want him.
Impossible.
The courtroom was silent as Cassie described being subjected to deeply dehumanizing acts, moments that left her feeling worthless and stripped of agency. Some of these acts, involving substances and power games, shocked even seasoned reporters. What emerged was a picture of someone under constant manipulation, made to perform disturbing acts under pressure, often while impaired. Cassie said she feared the consequences of saying no, emotionally, physically, and professionally.
Why is it impossible?
Because I'm a black man.
You can be
I
scared.
have so many other things to be fearful of. A clown is not going to scare me.
Really?
Yes. I'm not afraid of clowns.
But I heard that you were.
That was discussed this morning. Will the media be able to see video of these freak-offs? During opening statements, we heard that the jurors are going to be able to see video of these freak-offs. These are these sexual encounters between, for instance, Cassie Ventura, as well as another woman, Jane, and male escorts, as well as Sean Diddy Combs. But there's an argument that only the jurors will be able to see these. So we'll have to see what happens. The judge is taking that under advisement. Right now, what's taking place is the continuation of the cross-examination of a man by the name of Daniel Phillip. Julie, he is the male stripper that was hired by, he said, Cassie to engage.
She testified that she was often under the influence of party pills, left disoriented and unable to fully consent. She described being filmed and how Diddy allegedly used those recordings to control her. Cassie claimed that any refusal or resistance came with the looming threat of retaliation or blackmail. Her testimony wasn't just about what happened, it was about how helpless she felt to stop it.
He didn't sign an NDA, clearly. But did he make his artists sign NDAs and people that work for him?
Well, a lot of these rappers, a lot of these industry people, anybody who does business nowadays with the internet, they have NDAs, non-disclosure. That means that if you work for them, you around them, you can't disclose any of the information about them. It's the same thing that he gave to all his artists when he gave them their publishing back. I'm gonna give y'all publishing, but y'all can't talk about Janice Combs, Justin Combs, Sony, Bad Boy, or anything that happened. Y'all can't talk about none of that. But there's some artists that didn't say anything, that didn't sign it, and they able to talk about anything they want to. And I think that's those girls that was, I think Danny Kane. I think a couple of them didn't sign it.
And boy, oh boy, they probably gonna go after him too.
In one of the most structured parts of her testimony, Cassie identified 13 different men who she said were paid by Diddy to engage with her in ways that were explicitly directed by him. From travel logistics to recording angles, she said every moment was orchestrated. Sometimes, she said, he'd even watch via FaceTime if he wasn't present in person. This testimony aligns with other civil claims against Diddy, suggesting a long-running pattern of control and exploitation.
She was wearing a tight brown turtleneck dress that was hugging her baby bump. When she sat down, you could tell she was nervous. And if you couldn't, you quickly picked up on it because once she started talking, you noticed that she paused a lot. She would sigh heavily before she answered a question. One of those moments was when she explained to the court that a year into their relationship, that Diddy had approached her with this fantasy that he had. He called it voyeurism, where he wanted to see her have with another man, later referred to as freak-offs. She said her stomach dropped. She was 22 years old. She described herself as very naive and a people pleaser. She said the only reason that she agreed to it is because she knew it would make him happy, and she was afraid what would happen if she said no. That's also around the time, she says, that he started to get abusive. Most of her testimony today was spent on talking about these freak-offs, the different escorts that they would use, the different hotels that they would use. She said that she would find escorts off of Craigslist and this escort service called Cowboys for Angels. And to describe them, they weren't the most attractive men, right? They were very average looking. Some of them weren't even conventionally attractive. One thing they had in common is most of them were black because Diddy preferred for her black men with a big D, she said. At one point, Cassie broke down in tears when the prosecutor asked her, why didn't you leave? If the freak-offs, as you explained, were so disgusting and humiliating, why not leave? And she started crying and said that she was very deeply in love, and this was the only alone time that she could get with Diddy. And it got to a point where this was kind of the only emotional connection that she was getting from this man that she was dating. So much more that I'll cover in another video, including his incessant phone calls, him tracking her down with his security, and her never being able to escape him.
Next, prosecutors played a now infamous hotel surveillance video showing Diddy pushing Cassie to the ground, kicking her and dragging her. She testified this incident followed one of the freak-offs that had turned violent. The tape had already gone viral in 2024, but watching it in the courtroom with Cassie narrating what happened, that was different. Jurors weren't just seeing a video, they were seeing a woman reliving it, pregnant, emotional, and under oath.
Because I heard him, and I'm giving you this, Aubrey. He stood up there and he said, in front of a lot of people, we were in the studio, and I said something to him and walked out the studio. He said, yo, I'ma drug their ass off and pick them out and pip them out to my nigga. He said, I'ma drug them out. I'm gonna get them all on drugs, and I'm gonna pimp their ass out to my nigga. I was like, there's somebody kids, and walked out. And it's somebody that heard me. It's somebody that heard me. I mean, well, it's not only somebody that heard me, it's somebody that I know who was in the studio at the time that happened, and I still talk to him today. And we were just talking about that the other day. He done moved back to Indiana. I don't know why. I'm gonna give you that one. He said he drug them all out, them out.
As Cassie described more of the events from her relationship, the pressure, the fear, the lack of escape, she broke down in tears. Keep in mind, she's carrying her child. She's a grown woman now. Looking back on years she says she spent trapped in manipulation, reporters inside the courtroom noted that even seasoned legal professionals appeared moved. Many described the moment as the emotional breaking point of the trial so far.
I think you want somebody who wants to serve, someone eager to serve, because that suggests that person might be inclined toward a celebrity like Diddy. I would also, in this case, I would want men, not because men support abuse, but I could see this being very difficult for women jurors. I would want younger jurors as well. I don't know that older jurors would be good for him.
Do you care where they get their news? Do you care if they go on social media?
I wouldn't care so much about social media. Certainly watching you on Law and Crime would be a real problem. But no, I wouldn't care too much. I mean, in fact, if they were reading the celebrity media, TMZ, Rolling Stone, that might be an encouraging thing for Diddy's counsel.
Now, Ben, according to the court today, they expect preemptory challenges on Friday. You have a lot of jurors who saw the Cassie tape. You have a lot of jurors who were exposed to this case or something that's been going on with Sean Combs, know who he is, maybe know a list of the celebrities or places that were potentially going to be brought up in this case. Difficulty of sitting 8 weeks on this jury, but they're going to be seeing and hearing a lot. Do you think that it's going to be tough to sit a fair and impartial jury in Sean Combs' criminal case?
Well, I think they will have a fair and impartial jury. I think the problem is going to come in, with the Cassandra Ventura's tape. I mean, whether you've seen that before, you're certainly going to see that during the trial. And I think that's highly problematic, obviously, for Diddy, whether they've seen it before or not.
Yeah, because the prosecution is saying she was not only running away from Combs, she was running away from a freak-off, that there was a sex worker in that hotel room, and that goes to the charge of sex trafficking, and also racketeering, because sex trafficking is a part of that as well. Okay, so the trial's about to start. We know that Sean Combs early in the week said to the court, I'm feeling a little nervous today. Let's say openings begin day 1, May 12th, okay? What do you advise your celebrity client to do and not to do as this trial begins and progresses for 8 weeks?
I would remind him to remember that every second he is in the courtroom, at least one juror and probably more are going to be looking at him. So he should act as if he were testifying every second he's in the courtroom.
Cassie said Diddy even controlled what she wore, how her nails were done, and how candles were arranged in rooms. This wasn't random chaos. It was a system of domination, a performance. And Cassie said she was the main actor, trapped in a production she never agreed to join.
Here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse today, Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Well, Diddy docket, civil and criminal, of course. Yet we're live tweeting the criminal trial of Sean Combs. Yesterday, they finished with the male dancer Daniel Phillip, and then Cassie took the stand. It was really, it was something.
Diddy's legal team insists she participated willingly. They argue this was a toxic relationship, but not a criminal one. However, Cassie's account, emotionally charged and relentlessly detailed, may be hard for a jury to dismiss. And this is just the beginning. Her testimony is expected to continue, and more witnesses are set to take the stand. Cameras aren't allowed inside the courtroom, but trust me, the public eye is watching every single word.
2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally. You remember that video back in 2016. The prosecutors played the video. The witness testified that Diddy tried to pay him off with a giant wad of cash. The day's second witness was a male escort. This is where it really got very juicy, who says that he was paid by Diddy numerous times to have sex with Cassie while Diddy sat there in the corner, masturbating and watched. He says he once saw Diddy throw a liquor bottle at Cassie and heard him beating her in another room.